See, we have started accounts payable in the previous class. And I think I explained up to vendor account groups, right? Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So in the real time, what happens is this accounts receivable module. I'm sorry. In the real time, we have another module, materials management. So this materials management module is integrated with this accounts payable module. So whenever we implement EMM, it is compulsory integrated with accounts payable, right? So when the MM is implemented and integrated with accounts payable, the purchase orders, the purchase invoices, then purchase returns, etc., are processed from materials management. Then FI accounts payable is used to make the payments to vendors, to process the payments to vendors and advances from vendors. But if the MM is not implemented, then the purchase invoices, purchase returns, right? Then all the business transactions related to vendors are processed from FI only. Right? So now for the time being, I'm explaining you all these accounts payable, assuming that we did not implement EMM. So after controlling, right, we will also see if you implement EMM, how it is integrated with FI, we will see at that time. Then here, every vendor master record contains the data under 3 segments. Number 1, general data. Number 2, company code data. Number 3, purchase data. That means here, if you remember, the GL account master record also contains the data under 2 segments, chart of account segment and the company code segment. So similarly, the vendor master record also contains the data under 3 segments: general data, company code data, purchase data. So why the system divides the data like this? Let us see. See, in the general data, it contains information like vendor name, vendor number, address, bank information, tax information, and the contact person information, etc. This information is stored at the client level so that information can be used by all the company codes in which is a vendor. You know, if any data is stored at the client level, then that data can be used by all the company codes of the client. So here, whatever the data you maintain in the general data segment is also stored by the system at the client level. As a result, it can be used by all the company codes of the client. That means, say for example, our group is ABC group. So under the ABC group, we have A company code, B company code, and C company code, right? So there is one vendor, XYZ Limited, and this vendor is supplying the materials to all the 3 company codes. In that case, we have to maintain the master record for the same vendor in all the 3 company codes, right? Then his name, address, bank data, and tax information will be saved in all the company code, no? So this common data is always maintained in client level, right? In that case, it is enough to maintain this data only once, and it is shared by all the company codes. As a result, we can optimize on the database size also. That's why everywhere the master data is segregated like this. Clear? Then number 2, we have the company code data. In the company code data segment, we maintain the company code specific information. It contains information like payment terms. Payment terms means credit period, payment methods, reconciliation account number, tolerance groups, etc. So what is the reconciliation account, tolerance groups, payment methods? We will discuss later on. For the time being, credit period. Everybody knows this, right? So different vendors will give us different credit periods, right? Some vendors may give us 50 days credit period. Some vendors may give 1 month credit period. And some vendors will say, if you make the payment in 7 days, we will give you 2% cash discount. Like that, these are all called payment terms, right? So it contains information like payment terms. And this information is stored at the company code level so that this information is specific and available to that company code only. Means here we have the 3 company codes under the group, right? Then XYZ Limited is selling the materials to all our 3 company codes, right? In that case, his name, address, bank information, etc. will be same in all the 3 company codes, right? But the same vendor is giving only 10 days credit to A company code and 30 days credit to B company code and 45 days credit to C company code. That's what I'm saying, Suresh, right? We can use the same vendor details in different company codes. That is the reason why, right, SAP classifies the data in the general data segment and company code segment. So general data segment always contains the common data, like name. The name of the vendor will be same in all the company codes, no? His address will be same in all the company codes, no? His bank information also will be same in all the company codes. His GST information also will be same in all the company codes, right? That's why the common data is always stored at the client level, right? And it can be shared by all the company codes. Vendor details will be same in all the company codes. But in the company code data segment, we maintain the company code specific information. Say, for example, the same vendor, XYZ Limited, is giving 10 days credit to A company code and 30 days credit to B company code and 45 days credit to C company code. Same vendor may give different credit periods, to different company codes under the same group. That's why the company code specific information is always stored at the company code level. Then purchase data. It contains information like purchase order currency, terms of delivery, minimum order quantity, etc., which is used by the purchase department of the company code. This data I will show you at the time of integration. Then certain specifications entered in the vendor master record, like payment terms, are automatically defaulted each time when we are processing the business transactions related to this vendor. This I will show you while posting the transactions to the vendor. So let us start the configuration. Exactly, yes. Yes, sir. See, she has done one statement. If on same client number, if you have another ABC company, they can also share the same information. Yes. See, first we have to create vendor account groups. Remember, normally in every module, right? First we have to maintain the master record, right? Master record means it has to be identified with a number. So from where the number is to be taken from the account groups. That's why first we create account groups. Then we define the number ranges. Now the number ranges will be assigned to account groups. These 3 steps are common in every module. So creation of vendor account groups. Exactly. Chart of accounts also same. SPRO, financial accounting. Accounts receivable and accounts payable. Vendor accounts. Master data. Preparations for creating vendor master data. Defining account groups with screen layout. Transaction code, I think it's not there, right? OBD3. Transaction code OBD3. Click on new entries. The account group is equal to SSKH, for example. We can give any name, it's a text field. The account group is equal to SSKH. Meaning or description, right? Vendors for raw materials, SSKH. Vendors for raw materials, SSKH. Vendors for raw materials, SSKH. Look at the screen, field status. General data, company code data, purchase data. General data contains some fields. Company code data contains some fields. Purchasing data contains some fields. First, let us do according to material. Then I will explain the other things here. Double click on company code data. Double click on account management. Select reconciliation as required entry. See, there are many fields, right, under the account management, and each field is selected as optional entry, right, defaultly. But here we are selecting reconciliation as required entry. See, here we are selecting this reconciliation as required entry in the account group SSKH, vendors for raw materials. And from now onwards, when we create a master record, for the vendor under this account group, right, compulsory, we should maintain the reconciliation account. So what is the reconciliation account? Why we have to maintain it compulsory? We will discuss after 2 steps. And all other fields are displayed there. This is how the field status for vendor master records is controlled by vendor account groups. Then click on save and write down the table name T077K. Table name is T077K. Table name T077K. Now, let us create one more vendor account group. Click on next entry button. Account group is equal to SSK1. Meaning is equal to, or meaning or name or description, anything is okay. Vendors for expenses for SSKH. Vendors for expenses for SSKH. Double click on company code data. Double click on account management. Select reconciliation code as required entry. Click on save. Now look at the screen. Here, general data will contain some fields. Now let us double click on general data. Then in the general data, we can maintain the data relating to address, the data relating to communication, the data relating to control, the data relating to payment transactions, etc. Suppose if you double click on address, these are the fields. And every field is defaultly selected as optional entry. So when you're creating the vendor master record under this account group, right, all these fields will be displayed there. In the case of some vendors, it may be necessary to maintain, but in case of some other vendors, it is not necessary to maintain. As a result, whenever it is necessary, we can maintain. When it is not necessary, we need not maintain. Say, for example, right, form of address. I don't want to see this field in the vendor master record. In that case, select suppress. Then some vendors may have the name 2. Name 2 means alias name, right? But no vendor will have the name 3 and name 4. In that case, I don't want to see these 2 fields in the vendor master record. Then select suppress. Now it contains 3 pages, out of which this is the first page. Here, based on your scheme resolution, please remember, the number of pages will be changed. Don't say that always this data contains only 3 pages. Based on the scheme resolution, right? The scheme resolution of your system, the number of pages will be changing here. Now let us go to next page, right? Here, street 2, street 3, street 5. I don't want to see all these fields. We need not require all these fields at all, right? So sometimes some vendors may have the care of address, right? They may not have their own buildings. They may be working in the rented premises, right? In that case, we have to maintain the care of building name. In that case, you select required entry or optional entry, right? Now go to next page. Street 4, select a suppress. So what are the fields you don't want to maintain at all? Select them suppress, right? Now, click on back arrow, double click on communication permission. See, in order to contact the vendor, right? How do we contact to the vendor? How do we contact the vendor? Mobile number, right? In that case, in every vendor master record, mobile number should be maintained, right? Should be maintained, must. In that case, select required entry. Even by mistake, if the user forgetting to maintain the mobile number in the vendor master record, system will not allow us to create the vendor master record, right? Then some vendors, now we want to send your purchase orders and other account statements to mail. In that case, vendor mail information is compulsory, right? You select internet mail address as required entry. Then some vendors may have the websites, right? In that, and some vendors may not have the websites. So if the vendor is having the website name, we want to maintain that website name in the master record. In that case, you select it as optional entry. Like that, right? Based on the information requirements to be maintained, right? We select some fields as required entry, some fields as optional entry, some fields as suppressed entry. This is how the vendor master record data or the field status for vendor master records is controlled by, right, vendor account groups. Now, double click on contact person. Here, suppose you are purchasing steel rods from Tata Steel Limited. You are using the steel rods in your company for some purpose, right? So you are purchasing the steel rods from the Tata Steel Limited. Now, in the Tata Steel Limited sales department, with whom you have to contact? You cannot directly call Tata, right? So Tata Steel Company Limited, or you cannot call the direct MD of the Tata Steel Limited. Tata Steel Limited will have the sales department. In that sales department, with whom you have to contact always. In that case, select the contact person information required. Right? So here, similarly, control, payment transactions. Control data also contains some fields. VAT registration number. Compulsory, you maintain the VAT registration number. Select required entry. Right? See the fields here. So like that, whatever the fields you want to maintain in the vendor master records is controlled by vendor account groups. Here. Next. Creation of number ranges for vendor accounts. Write down on the sentence there. The vendor account groups and the number ranges. The vendor account groups and number ranges are stored at the client level. So that they can be used by all the company codes of the client. So that they can be used by all the company codes of the client. We can assign a single number range. We can assign a single number range to multiple vendor account groups. But normally, we maintain a separate number range for every vendor account group. But normally, we maintain a separate number range for every vendor account group. I will explain you. See, creation of number ranges for vendor accounts. Path is same as above. See, create number ranges for vendor accounts. Click on change intervals. Here, the vendor account number ranges are created at the client level. So here, this is the number range number, right? For this number range number, here we link the number range interval. As I said, the number ranges are created at the client level, right? So in that case, we have to select the number range number which was not already used. For example, 0, 1, 0, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Say, for example, 60, 62 is there, right? 61 is not there. So we can use 61, right? Then 63, 64 is there. 65, 66, 67, 67, 8, 69, 70, 71, 72 are not there. 73 is there. So we can use only the number which was not already there, right? For example, here, after 64, we have 73, right? We can use up to 99. We can use up to, I will tell you, we can use alphanumerics. This number range numbers can be alphanumerics also. Then just imagine the permutations and combinations. I cannot say how many number of number ranges we can create, right? Because this number range number is alphanumeric. So, for example, here we have 64 is there. After 64, numerical number 70 is there. So I am going to use 65 and 66. Two account groups, two number ranges. So I have decided to use 65 and 66, right? If you want, you can write the numbers while doing the practice, right? You can write the numbers somewhere or in your book or at your paper. So 64, right? 65, 66 I can use. Just a minute, let me write here. 65 and 66. Now, you have identified the number range numbers what we can use. Now, you have to identify number range interval which we can use. And also, you cannot use the number range values already used. In that case, how do we know which free number range we can use? See, go to menu interval, free intervals. So in that case, the system will display all the intervals which we can use. For example, 1851 to this number we can use. Do not use the entire range because others may not have the buffer, right? That's why I am using for 65, right? I am using 1851 to 1900. Means we can create 50 master records, right? Then for 66, I am using 1901 to 1911. Means we can create 10 master records. So based on the number of master records you want to create, you can use that many number range, right? And don't use up to all 9s because others may not have the buffer to create the number ranges. That's how we can identify the number range numbers we can use. Now, click on insert line. Number is equal to 65 from number 1851 to number 1900. Look at the screen again. External checkbox is there. If you select external checkbox, right, while creating the vendor master record, the user has to enter the number by himself. And that number should be between these two numbers. If you don't select this external checkbox, the system allots the number serially from the defined number range. click on save and enter. Again, click on insert line. Number is equal to 66. From number 1901 to 1911. Click on save. Like that, right? For each vendor account group, normally we use a separate number range. But technically, it is possible to assign one number range to multiple vendor account groups. Then assign number ranges to vendor account groups. Path is same as above. Assign number ranges to vendor account groups. Click on position. The account group is equal to SSKH. Click on enter. Number range 65. Click on position. The account group SSK1. Click on enter. Number range 66. Then the number range values assigned to this number range number 66 is applicable to SSK1. Click on save. Then define tolerance groups for vendors. Do one thing. Below this step, some space is there, right? Please write down. Tolerance groups for vendors. Tolerance groups for vendors are the upper limits. Below which are equal to which. Below which are equal to which. The payment differences and residual balances in the vendor accounts. Residual balances in the vendor accounts are automatically transferred to some revenue account or expense account. Some revenue account or expense account. Means what? Say, for example, vendor invoice amount is 10,000, right? So vendor said, if we make the payment on 1 week or 7th day, he will give us 3% cash discount, right? So today is the 7th day. So we are issuing the check to the vendor, right? Payment amount is equal to 9,700. When there is a cash discount, right? We reduce the cash discount and we issue the check, or we do the bank transfer for the remaining amount only, right? Now we are posting this payment in the system. So actually invoice amount is 10,000 rupees, but we are making the payment of 9,700. So the remaining 300 is payment difference. This is basically the remaining 300 rupees is payment difference, right? Do you need to pay this 300 rupees later on in any case? Do you need to pay this 300 rupees to vendor later on?
No, sir.
No.
Why?
No.
Because this is the cash discount, right? Now, this cash discount 300 rupees is credited to cash discount received account. So cash discount received is a revenue, right? Revenue means nominal accounts. So credit all revenues and incomes, right? So this 300 rupees is to be automatically credited to cash discount received account. In that case, how the system knows that this 300 rupees is a cash discount received? For that, we use the tolerance groups. We use the tolerance groups, right? That is the purpose of the tolerance goods for vendors. Similarly, you have seen the tolerance goods for GL accounts, right? At that time, I told you we define the tolerance goods for GL accounts, vendor accounts, and customer accounts in financial accounting. Now we are defining the tolerance goods for vendors. Transaction code OBA3. Transaction code is not there. Add the transaction code OBA3. See, customer vendor tolerances. Click on new entries. Company code is equal to SSKH. Tolerance group blank. Tolerance group blank. Text is equal to blank tolerance group for SSKH. Blank tolerance group for SSKH. Now, again, please add two fields there in the material. Under permitted payment differences, under permitted payment differences, under permitted payment differences, gain amount, gain is equal to 1,000 rupees. Loss is equal to 1,000 rupees. Loss is equal to 1,000 rupees. These are called whole amounts, or you can specify the percentage also. Click on save. Write down the table name T043G. Table name T043G. So these tolerance limits are stored in the table T043G. Now, creation of two GL accounts. Number one, creation of inventory of raw material account. Here, when we post the purchase invoice, the entry to be posted is debit inventory of raw material account, credit vendor account. So vendor account is nothing but vendor master record. The vendor master record is created in the later on steps. Now we create, right, the inventory of raw material account. So check up the list of account groups and identify the account group under which we have to create this GL master and choose the GL account number. So go to OBD4. Our chart of accounts is SSKH. So inventory of raw material account is part of our current assets, loans, and advances, right? So we have an account group, current assets, loans, and advances. And the defined number range is 2,100,000 to 2,199,000. So just like that, I'm taking 2,120,000. Transaction code FS00. See, sometimes you may see the standard toolbar like this without command area, right? In that case, you just click on this. Then the system will display command area. By mistake, if you click on this, it is closed. Then click on this. It is open. FS00. GL account is equal to 2,120,000. Company code SSKH. Go to menu GL account create. The account group is current assets, loans, and advances. The account group is current assets, loans, and advances. Select balanced account. Short text is equal to inventory of raw material account. Short text is equal to inventory of raw material account. GL account long text is also inventory of raw material account. Go to control data tab. Account currency INR. Select only balances in local currency. Select line item display. Sort key 001. Then go to create bank interest tab. Field status group G001. Click on save. Now, creation of syndicators account as a reconciliation account. If you remember, at the vendor account group level, we have selected reconciliation as required entry. Now, what is the reconciliation account? See, here, In the general ledger accounting, I told you, the general ledger accounting is called main ledger. Accounts payable, account receivable, asset accounting, they are called subsidiary ledgers. So accounts payable is also a subsidiary ledger. Remember, in the subsidiary ledgers, always we maintain the details of the business transactions. But the summary of these business transactions is to be maintained in the general ledger accounting, because all the information is taken from general ledger accounting only into the financial statements, right? Now, reconciliation account means it is the control account maintained in the general ledger to post all the business transactions affected in the sub-ledger accounts, that is vendor accounts. It is used to know the total amount of the vendors payable by the company at any point of time. And the figure to be represented in the balance sheet is taken from this account. And we cannot post directly into these accounts. I will give you an example. We have, please assume, we have only two vendors, right? X vendor and Y vendor. Today, we purchased raw material worth 10,000 from X vendor. Then the entry posted is raw material account at our vendor account, vendor X account, right? So by virtue of that entry, that is posted to credit side of vendor X by raw material 10,000. Out of this 10,000 invoice, you have paid only 5,000. Out of this 10,000 invoice, you paid only 5,000 to vendor X. Then we post the entry debit vendor account, credit bank account, right? So that is posted to debit side of vendor X. Now from vendor Y, we purchased 25,000 materials worth, right? Out of 25,000, you paid only 15,000, which is posted to debit side of vendor Y. Okay. Now I want to know what is the total amount payable to both the vendor X and vendor Y. I want to know what is the total amount of payables now by our company code to both the vendors. How do we find it out? First, we balance vendor X account, right? Credit is 10,000, debit is 5,000. So still we have to pay 5,000 to the vendor X. Now for vendor Y, credit is 25,000, debit is 15,000. So we have to pay still 10,000 to vendor Y. So vendor X 5,000, vendor Y 10,000. So total amount payable is 15,000. Still now clear? Total amount payable to all the vendors is 15,000, right? Still now clear? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Right? Now, let us extend this example. You have 500 vendors in your company code. You have 500 vendors, right? And your accounting has started on 1/4/2022. Your accounting has started on 1st April 2022. From 1st April 2022 till today, you might have purchased number of times for every vendor, and you might have done full payments on some of the invoices, part payments on some of the invoices. Means there are number of debits and credits in every vendor account, right? If that is the situation, if you want to know what is the total amount of payables by your company to all the 500 vendors together, what we have to do again? We have to balance every individual vendor account of your client company. And every account contains hundreds of debits and credits. So if you have to balance every individual vendor account, which contains hundreds of debits and credits, how much time it will take to balance all the 500 vendors? We don't know. It may take 2-3 days also. And even if you use the calculator, there are manual mistakes. But your finance manager wants to know what is the total amount of payables by your company as of now immediately, because he wants to plan for the funds to be available. Are you getting my point? For that, what we do in SAP? Here, you maintain one GL account with the name sundry creditors as a reconciliation account in the general ledger. we maintain one GL account with the name sundry creditors or total payables account or payables account. It is represented with the different names. So we maintain one GL account, sundry creditors account in the general ledger as a reconciliation account. Then we make some settings. Remember, we make some settings because of which when we post any business transaction in any of the individual vendor accounts, right? The business transaction is also automatically, please remember, the business transaction is also automatically posted into this sundry creditors account. In this example, when you post buy raw materials in vendor X account, right? That is also posted to credit side of sundry creditors, buy raw materials 10,000. When you post the raw material purchase in the vendor Y account, right? That is also posted to sundry creditors raw material. When you post the payment to vendor X, that is also posted to sundry creditors in the general ledger to bank A 5,000. When you post the payment to vendor Y in the vendor Y account, that is also posted to sundry creditors account. So it's a GL account, right? So in the GL account, if you want to display the balance, you use the transaction code FS10N or FAGLB03. So if you go to the transaction code, the system will display this balance. You may have 500 vendors, no issues. You may have 5,000 vendors, no issues. If you go to the transaction code FAGLB03, the system will display this balance. So with every business transaction you post in accounts payable, your sundry creditors reconciliation account is updated in the general ledger automatically. This sundry creditors account is called reconciliation account. This is what I stated here. It is the control account maintained in the general ledger to post all the business transactions affected in the subledger accounts, that is vendor accounts. Clear? Now, one more thing. I am the user who is having the access to line item display of sundry creditors. That's it. I don't have access to individual vendor accounts. So when I display the line items in the sundry creditors account, I can see buy raw materials 10,000, buy raw materials 25,000. So buy raw materials means I can understand we purchase raw materials, but from whom? And you can see to bank means you can understand you have made the payment to vendor, but to whom this 5,000 was paid, to whom this 15,000 was paid, right? That information also I need, right? For that purpose, each line item is to be maintained according to vendor number, right? So in the sundry creditors line item display, the business transactions are to be maintained according to vendor number, right? Means the criteria according to which the business transactions are organized in the GL account is called what? Sort key. So for the sundry creditors reconciliation account, the sort key will be vendor number. That means 012. Till now, we have been using the sort key 001, right? But for the sundry creditors reconciliation account, the sort key will be 012. Now, it is used to know the total amount of the vendors payable by the company at any point of time. The figure to be represented in the balance sheet is taken from this account. So today we are preparing the balance sheet. So in the balance sheet, we have to display sundry creditors, right? So from this account, the system takes the information. And we cannot post directly into these accounts manually. We cannot debit or credit reconciliation account while posting. System will debit and credit this reconciliation accounts automatically by itself. So sundry creditors is part of your current liabilities, right? So I am taking 1,05,05. 1,00505 I am taking. GL account is 1,00505. Company code SSKH. Go to menu GL account create. Account group is current liabilities and provisions. Account group is current liabilities and provisions. select balance sheet account. Short text is equal to sundry creditors account. GL account long text is also sundry creditors account. GL account long text is also sundry creditors account. Go to control data tab. Account currency INR. Now I have given one note here. Only balances in local currency should not be selected for reconciliation accounts. It's a system mandatory requirement. Don't select only balances in local currency for reconciliation accounts. Then, how the system knows that 100505 is the reconciliation account? That setting is done here. Reconciliation account for account type, select vendors. Reconciliation account for account type, vendors. Select line item display. Sort key 012. See, 012 vendor number. Sort key 012 vendor number. Then go to create bank interest tab. Field status group G067. See, G067 reconciliation account. G067 reconciliation account. Always for reconciliation account, it's compulsory to use field status group G067. Click on save. Now, here, normally, right in the real time, we don't select line item display and sort key for the reconciliation accounts. Right down there. Normally, we don't select. Normally, we don't select line item display and we don't maintain sort key for the reconciliation accounts in the real time. Right, but here I am just selecting this line item display and sort key just to make you understand the impact of these two selections. That's the reason why in the training class I am selecting these two fields, but in the real time don't select these two fields. It is also clearly specified by SAP in the help documentation also. See, line item display. See, you should not set the indicator for the accounts where the line item display dialog does not make sense due to the number of postings. These include tax accounts, receivables means sundry debtors, payables means sundry creditors reconciliation accounts, right? So remaining things we will see tomorrow. Right? If you have any questions, please ask them in tomorrow's class.